Future chefs of the Twin Cities, what's up? Part 3 of the video, making you a quick and easy pizza dough. We're going to jump right back in. I rolled out my dough. I'm going to show you how to transfer it to the pan. And then we're going to bring it to the oven. Okay, and it's going to cook for about 5 to 7 minutes. Like I said in the last video, 5 to 7 minutes. Alright, but before I put it on the pan, I'm going to show you a quick trick. I learned this when I was growing up. I watched my mother and my grandma do it. This here is cream of wheat. Okay, you may have seen this in your local grocery stores, or you may grew up on it. Similar to grits, but much more finer, creamier consistency. I've learned over time to actually put some of this and sprinkle this at the bottom of your pan before you add a piece of dough. Whether it's a fresh piece of dough or it's a frozen pizza, I've always seen them add a little bit of semolina flour or cream of wheat to the bottom of your pan. And you'd be like, why do you do that? Well, I'm going to tell you, chefs, why. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. Like literally a sprinkle, like a tablespoon on a pan or a teaspoon on a pan. And it just helps the crust of your pizza dough to be a little more crispier, and it doesn't necessarily stick to the pan, and it doesn't allow the dough to basically, what do you call that? It doesn't allow the dough to suffocate on the bottom of the pan. You might have a nice beautiful crust on the top, and then the bottom of the pizza dough, when you pull it out, might be a little sticky on the bottom of the pan, or it done basically glued itself to the pan. So when you add a little bit of semolina flour, or cream of wheat, I should say, you place it on the pan like so here, and then you put it on there, and it's going to come out as pretty much one of the best piece of crust you could ever make. So I rolled it out into a nice looking circle. You'd be like, oh, that's a lot of dough, chef. That stretched out quite a bit. And yes, it did. And I did not do that on purpose. So what I'm going to do, you can either trim off some of this pizza here and use it and save it for another pizza, like I'm about to. Or if it just fit the pan but you have a little bit left over, you can take some, you can fold it over, or actually get creative. You know how you get stuffed crust piece from Pizza Hut or Domino's? Yes, you could use some cheese or mozzarella or some toppings and put it on the perimeter of your dough here, and then fold it over, kind of like you would do when you're making an apple pie crust, and then brush it with a little oil or salt. Same exact thing, 5 to 7 minutes. It's going to be so good, you guys. So I'm going to actually take my extra crust and I'm going to trim around the edges and save it for another day. So let me grab my kitchen shears. I'm just going to cut. And if you do have extra pizza dough, you want to save it and you're not going to use it later that day, you want to use it another day down the week. I'm not sure. I want to say with a pizza dough, you could save it for about, I wouldn't use it no more past 5 to 6 days. And then when you do wrap it up, make sure it's nice and tight. Fold it really tight. And before you wrap it in a plastic wrap or a plastic film, add some flour. Add some flour because, again, that yeast loves to stick to other smooth surfaces. So you might you might unwrap the ball of pizza dough and you might start trying to shake it on the counter because it isn't connected to the plastic film. You don't want that. So always add a little bit of flour. Okay, so I got a nice ball here. That is a perfect amount for another pizza for another day. Okay, so my 1 times the amount, you could actually say that I made 2 pieces of crust. Okay, and I didn't make a perfect circle, but as you can see there, it's good enough. And I'm gonna take a fork, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna poke my crust. That is going to create nice little ventilators so that while the crust is rising, it can breathe. Otherwise, you're going to get a piece of dough to come out the oven with a lot of bubbles in it. Some people like that, maybe like a Neapolitan style. But here we're just going for a nice, even, all-around piece of crust. And I don't want the bubbles, so you're going to take a fork and you're just going to make pokes all down and around the piece of crust. Okay? So, that's it. That's ready to go in the oven. I got my oven right here to me. I'm going to put it in there 5 to 7 minutes. And then on my last video, I'm going to show you the final touch. And then I'm going to have some chopped veggies I have over here on the side. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to show you the final result. And that's going to be our made classic pizza dough / pizza. I know that was a lot, but just hang in there with me, guys. Future chefs, we'll be right back. All right, stay tuned.